another breakdown. Let's get right into it. Starting on US30 on the daily time frame. So we had price previously in the downtrend. Wait, what? Oh. Yeah, we had price previously in the downtrend, making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, higher low because it's higher than this low, and then change structure for a higher high because it's higher than this lower high, right? So we see price consolidated all around 42,300 due to the fact that we had a previous resistance here. So this could possibly be the reason for confusion, consolidation, and what we're anticipating now is a minor downtrend to solidify a higher low point so we can push this market back up, right? So the market can push back up, not we. So let's go down to a small time frame, H4. So I remember we had, let's go down to H1 due to it has more detail. So I remember since price broke this previous resistance here, we made a new high point and we was anticipating a pullback. So we got a pullback down to 38.2%, wicking 50%. And then price consolidated due to the daily time frame, it being a strong level of resistance, right? Price then went on to hit our take profit at negative 27%. So we could get rid of that now. And price was making bullish movements until price decided to break this support here, right? Let me mark this off. So price broke support, now creating a lower low because it was consolidating, but we had a support here. We can say we had a support here. That price then went and broke that support, right? Because we have a bearish doji, but then we have another bearish candle solidifying the break, right? So now we see price wants to trade on a downtrend, right? So that is the reason why we've seen a lower low, breaking the support that we said, creating a lower high point, retesting this same high point / resistance that we previously made here that rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can say potentially fifth time because it was a bullish doji bearish candle that solidified it to be a tested area instead of a break of resistance, right? So we had a lower low point, lower high point, then we made another lower low point, a lower high point, retesting using this support as resistance now, and now we're currently trading at a lower low point, right? So for this week, what we want to see is somewhat of a pullback to this level or even steeper, right? And then we want to see a continuation of the downtrend, right? Where price can actually open up and continue to push lower until New York session, until we get a retrace, or just whenever we do get a retrace, right? Let's double check and see what news we have coming up this week. So we don't have, okay, so we have core retail sales on Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. And we have unemployment claims on Wednesday, 8:30. And we have federal funds rate, FOMC on Wednesday. So Wednesday is more of a good, not a good, but a big news day. Then Thursday, we do have Juneteenth, which is a bank holiday, so price wouldn't be really doing much. And Friday, we have no USD news, right? Well, we have Philly Fed. It's an orange folder, so it's like kind of impactful, right? So that's the news events we have coming up this week. So we could potentially see some movements this week due to those news events, but we just have to, pay attention. Price has been trading sloppy. This was kind of like the cleanest structure up here, where it was like bullish, doji, bearish candle. Let's get rid of this. A bearish engulfing right here. So this was a good indication of a good candle. Then we had some good solid bearish candles, right? Where if you missed this trade due to the fact that it was Thursday 4 p.m., maybe Thursday 6 p.m., but then it's not New York session anymore. So this was kind of a hard move to catch unless you would have caught that 4 p.m., right? And then we have 7 p.m. This is all Asian session. Why is the market moving so much during Asian session for US peer, well, US index? I think due to the fact of war. So, anytime war is coming along, we have, I guess, investors pulling out of the US market, and that makes the US market much volatile, right? Where when we go on to the gold chart, we'll see good movements in gold because I don't know, gold just usually do good during wartime. So that is the reason for these big pushes for Asian session, right? So yeah, what we will be looking for is a pullback and a continuation to the downside, right? So that's really much for US30. The same for the Nasdaq, right? Where we had price consolidating around this area. Then we do have a strong push to the downside, breaking this support right here after creating a lower high point. Strong push to the downside, creating a lower low, a pullback, creating another lower high point, and this was good areas to get sells, right? Because remember, anytime you want to take a sell, you want to look for entry base points, which is a lower high point, for sells to aim for that lower low or to target equal lows, right? So yeah, this trade is already gone. Friday, 12 p.m., 1 p.m. was a good area to take this position and hold over the weekend due to the fact that we are clearly in a downtrend, right? So if on a smaller time frame, if we could get something sort of like this and a pullback to a continuation, then we could look for sells around this area, right? Sells around this area, and we could continue to the downside. If we do not get that, then we would just have to be patient and wait and see what the market gives us. So let's get rid of this. So yeah, if we don't get that pullback previously drawn, we want to see a continuation to the downside, and then we would just have to wait for a lower high point to be created, right? So that is the outlook for the Nasdaq. Let's go to gold. Like we said, during news wartime, gold is going to push to the upside due to the fact that the US dollar becomes weaker and I guess gold becomes stronger, right? Because people love to put their money in a safe haven. Gold has always been a safe haven asset to hold your money, store your money, and look for a good return, right? So we have on H4, wait, let's see. It's on the daily. Okay, so we have a good, let's get rid of that. Let's make a daily line here. Daily resistance here. And lock it. Let's make this only visible on daily. Yes. Okay. So for H4, we see we have high point, low high point. I mean higher low point, high, higher low point. Let's mark this off. And we see prices currently at a high point after hitting our TP, right? So we previously had a fib here from point A to point B. 78.6 was the retrace, negative 27% was the TP, right? So if you was able to catch that position, good call. Hopefully you made some money this week, and we can now get rid of this. And so price is currently at a higher high, so we don't have much to do at the moment. But we have to wait for a resistance to be created and a shift of trend / shift of structure to pull back, right? Before we could look for any buys in the market, right? So let's go down to the H1 time frame. So let's see. Okay, so we have this high low point, somewhat of a high low point. Due to this is consolidation, we wouldn't really say it's a high low point, right? So we just have a high point. So for this upcoming week, we just want to be patient and just monitor and see what gold want to do, right? So it's pretty much nothing really here to look at for gold. Yeah. So we just want to be patient and see what gold wants to play out. Wednesday we will do a midweek breakdown just to see what the charts have been doing since from Sunday, and we'll be able to update the market then. All right. UJ, we did see price create we do have a strong support on the daily time frame after price was trading in a downtrend. This was the lower high point previously created. I'm not sure, excuse me, why do I have this? Okay, because this was supposed to be point A to point, excuse me, point A to point B, and this was supposed to be TP on the H4 time frame, I believe. And so I have this here. Let me see. Yes. So this is supposed to be the initial target for UJ. That's why this is all the way up here. But we can get rid of this for now, right? Where price, like I said, price was in downtrend, lower low, lower high point after price swept liquidity. So we can get rid of that. And price reverse, right? Where we have a bullish, bearish candle, right? And now we want to go down to a smaller time frame, right? Where price did break resistance to now create a higher high. So we do have point A to point B here. And this was the retrace, supposedly. And this is target one, right? TP1, negative 27%. We can get rid of that, right? But what we really want to pay attention to is on the H1 time frame, right? Yeah, that is the bigger trend. That's the bigger target. But at the moment, we've seen price create higher high, higher low, higher, well, just a high because it's tested, because we have a bunch of consolidation around this area. And then we've seen price create a lower low, right? Breaking this lower, this higher low point to now give us bearish momentum, right? Then we see price pull back here, and now we're seeing this could potentially be a lower high point. And what we can do and what we will do is go down to a smaller time frame, right? Where we see we have the shifter structure on the M15 time frame, where we had a high low, and then we had a high, testing this high, not breaking it, and then we have a lower high, a lower low, breaking this low, creating a lower high, a lower low, and now this could potentially be a lower high due to the fact that we're already close to the top, right? So what we can do is mark this off. Once we don't get, if we could get a engulfing candle around this area, not breaking this lower high point, then we can continue to look for sells, right? And we can target, so we can look for sells around this area, stops above the high, and then we can target this low point, right? Where after a lower low, after a lower high point, we know price wants to give us a lower low. So that is just market structure, right? Market structure 101. So we know that we can have our take profit at the equal lows, but we know we are looking for a lower low. So if price can break past it, we can squeeze some extra points and pips out of the market, right? Pips for this case, because this is a currency pair. And that is the breakdown for UJ. So we want to pay attention around market open, even Asian to London session. We want to see what goes on around this area and what we can potentially get, right? Yeah, that's about it for UJ. GU, right? I'm gonna do a video on how I took this loss and why I took this loss, due to the fact that we see on the H1 time frame, price broke structure here. So we see price broke structure here, and to the upside, indicating that price wants to go bullish, right? I don't know why I took a sell here, but who knows? But things happen when you're so fixated on one trend. So my mind was downtrend, 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 right? Ignoring the fact of this being a low low, lower high, low, not breaking this low, and then totally ignoring this resistance and straight pushing up, right? So like I said, I don't know why I was so fixated, but I was, right? So now we know that price is bullish on GU. So we do see here that we have, let's go to H4 time frame. No, it looks better on H1, but price is consolidating though, right? This is a consolidation zone. So that is another reason why trends just is being broken all throughout this whole area, right? Because look, we have higher high, higher low, higher high, low. But then we created a lower low. I mean, a lower high. So this area is just ugly at the moment, and we want to see price either break to the upside or to the downside, right? So we can zoom out here due to the fact that it's so much detail, there's too much noise, and we just need to ignore all the noise because we're in a consolidation zone, right? So we want to see price either break to the downside or break to the upside, and then we would look for buys or sells, right? So it's really nothing much to do on GU at the moment, and we can move on to AU, where we did indicate that we was looking for a break of a support. Why is this here? Okay. So we was looking for a break of support. Let's get rid of this. So we did break the support. We did create a lower high point. It was steeper than anticipated, where we did get a lower high point here. But price did not break the low. So we can zoom out because this area might be ignored on the H4 time frame as it is, right? So we got a lower high point here. And now we are seeing the continuation to the downside, right? After a lower high point, we know we will be anticipating a lower low. So this will actually be a good area to maybe take a trade. So market do open at 7 p.m., 6 p.m. That is Asia session. You know, it's Asian. It's almost Monday in Asia, all right? So we can probably take something like this if you do trade AU. Stops above the high, and we can target these lows right here, right? These equal lows. Where we can mark off this low here. So yeah, we could target here. If price does be iffy around this area, then you can get out the trade. But you already know after a lower high point, it's a lower low. So we can probably squeeze some more out of it, right? But this is the first target. And that's really about it for AU. And that wraps up the breakdown. Thank you guys for rocking with me, as always. Yeah, I have nothing much to say. Tune in on Wednesday for midweek breakdown or midweek analysis to see what happened in the market, see where the market has went, see where we right, where we wrong, and so on and so forth, right? And that's about it.